And so all of that which we have learned right now will not be useful until or unless we aren't able to convert our steps into test cases, right? What I mean to say is that till now we have learned normal navigation, that is open a browser, go to Gmail, click here or write somewhere, send keys or something like this is used to write into the username field. Okay, now if I want to convert this code into a test case, I want to generate HTML reports, I want to run multiple test cases together, I want to report test case pass or fail. So how to do that? To do that, you actually need the knowledge of TestNg framework, and that's what I'm going to teach you today. Fine, because only after teaching you TestNg I can continue with Selenium and teach you how to build test cases with Selenium. Right? Now what happens is that if you talk in a very raw form, then this is the example which I give every time. Suppose these are the Selenium test cases which you want to execute. Okay. Now suppose you have got around 500 test cases. Okay. Now, to execute 500 test cases, it's not an easy thing, because first of all you want a specific order in which one test case after another test case should be executed. And it can be that you want to skip a test case in between. You don't want to execute a particular test case but execute the rest of them, firstly. Secondly, you might want to execute one test case with different sets of data again and again. That's also one of the conditions. Thirdly, there should be an Excel file from which your data, keywords, whatever kind of framework you have implemented, it is written. Fine. All those data and all should be present outside the code. Thirdly, fourthly, another thing is that we need to generate reports of what we do, right? Then it's very important to do some logging as well. Suppose if you have 500 test cases and they take around 2 hours to execute, so you want to know what happened at every minute, every second, right? Again, you have all these things with you, fine. And maybe another requirement is that you want to run the complete thing on Linux or Unix based platforms. Fine, you want to execute them on Linux or Unix servers, because generally when the scripts become very big, we execute them on servers, right? So now Selenium as a tool is just responsible for this part. It is not, this is red box is Selenium, that is only the test cases. Implementing the test cases is Selenium. Selenium will not generate reports. It will not, it's got no feature to read data from Excel files or something, right? We will be doing all of this using Java language. Okay, but to collaborate between them, that is for which test case, what is the Excel file, how we want to generate the reports and all, we use something in Java. Okay, this is Java language, right? We use something in Java which is available to us, that is known as a JUnit framework or TestNg framework. Sometimes people also use Fitness, and Cucumber is also famous. Okay, right now I am teaching you with TestNg. Among JUnit and TestNg, TestNg is better. Go for TestNg, right? If you learn any one of them, any one of JUnit or TestNg, you can learn the other one very easily. Fine. Why am I going for TestNg? Because the reportings are better. Most of the people are moving over to TestNg these days. Rather, most have moved, right? And there are some very good features and very good documentation also available for TestNg. right? TestNg as a tool will read the data from the Excel file and it will pass the data to the corresponding test case, and Selenium will execute. Along with that, TestNg as a framework will also generate reports. It will help us do the logging, and when you run it with TestNg and with Linux, Unix, you can actually use Linux or Unix-based platforms, right? So it's like a centralized controller which tells which test case to run, which test case not to run, right? It supplies the data for the test case, generates the reports, logging, Linux, Unix, everything. So this main thing in the center is very, very important. Okay, now let's move forward and I'll tell you how to get TestNg. You need to install TestNg as an add-on inside Eclipse. Okay, it is not present inside Eclipse, but you have to install it as an add-on. Radhika is asking the question, is it something like a quality center to execute the test case? Not exactly, because in this you can also do the coding. In quality center, when you execute the test case with QTP, in quality center you do not do the coding. You can do the coding in VBS5, but not in quality center, right? Okay, now I'll create a new project over here, day 5 underscore TestNg. Okay, now in this, if you have given a wrong project name, like I have missed out 5, you can hit F2 of your keyboard and you can rename your project as well. Hit F2 and you can rename anything, file, project, anything. Okay, hold on. So I was telling you that TestNg has to be configured, right? So to configure TestNg or install TestNg inside Eclipse, you need to go to Google. Just hold on, I'll go to Google and type there TestNg Eclipse, right? You go to the link over here, TestNg Eclipse, and this is the TestNg site. It's quite good. This is the documentation over here, everything is present, and I have written over here, once you have installed the plugin, restart Eclipse, right? So you click on install the plugin, you get this link. Okay, now for Eclipse 3.4 use this, for Eclipse 3.3 use this link. These are the two links, but I think these days everybody is having Eclipse 3.4. Okay, you copy this particular link, copy this link, and I'll give you this link over the WebEx chat as well. This is the link, right? And you go to your Eclipse, fine, go to help, install new software in Eclipse. Okay, under help you will get install new software. When you go there, you will get a window like this. In this window, paste that link which I have given you, and hit enter of the keyboard. After pasting the link, don't forget to hit the enter button of keyboard, right? And in some time you will get TestNg. You check this, click on next. In between, your Eclipse will start and TestNg will be installed. After restarting the Eclipse, it will restart automatically, and you might get a small error in between. If you are getting it, just ignore it, continue. There's no issue like that. Sometimes people do get, but you can just ignore that error, right? So this is how you install TestNg. You go to Eclipse. I'll tell you again. Go to help, install new software, paste the URL, hit enter. You will get TestNg here. Next, and install it. Okay. Make sure you are connected to internet. That's it. Now, once you have installed TestNg, to check whether it is actually installed on your machine or not, you go to Window, Show View, and go to Other. Window, Show View, Other, and in this you will have Java. In this window, you expand Java. After expanding Java, you will get TestNg written out here. Okay, so this is what TestNg is like. This is how you check whether TestNg is installed on your machine or not. Okay, now in this what I'll do is inside the source folder I'll start making some test cases and I'll tell you how to build those. In the source folder I'll create a new package. Fine. I'll name that package called as test cases. Package is like a folder inside the source folder. Okay, if you go to the project location, the place where the project is lying, this is the project. Okay, and this is the source folder, and you will see that test cases folder is formed inside the source folder. Right, we make packages to organize ourselves. Right, we make, suppose we have to make 1000 files, then you will not just keep all the 1000 files under the source folder. You will keep them under different packages and organize your code. So if you have to make a package, you right click on the source folder, new package. Okay, now suppose I have a test case. I make a new class, right, and I have a simple test case called change login and change password. This is my simple. Suppose I'm just taking a hypothetical example that suppose there is a website and in this you want to log in and change the password. Now in TestNg you have got annotations. Annotations like this, @test. You write @test and then give the name of the function, that is public void say do login. Okay, and you will get the error in this @test. You move your mouse over the error and hold on. Yeah, you will get the option add JUnit 4 library, add TestNg library. Actually, JUnit and TestNg both are similar kind of frameworks. I find the TestNg a little bit better, right? JUnit 4 library is automatically it's there in Eclipse by default. TestNg you have to install. We installed TestNg, that's why we are getting the TestNg library addition. Right now in your Eclipse you will not get this because TestNg is not installed. Okay, once you install it you will get this option. You click on this option, add TestNg library, and you will get TestNg out here. Below JRE system library you will get TestNg, in which there is nothing but testng.jar file is there. Okay, now you move your mouse over this test and import, select import test org.testng.annotations. Import this annotation, it is imported and the error will go. This annotation signifies that this is a test case. If you give this annotation in front of any function, then that function will become a test case. And inside this function, suppose I write system.out.println, execute the login test. Okay, and I right click on this file. I'm right clicking on this file and I'll execute it. You go to run as and you will get the option TestNg test. Okay, when you run it as a TestNg test, it will get executed. Hold on, right? And in console, you will get this kind of thing, right? See, execute the login test is getting printed. That means this function was called. And along with it, you have total runs as 1, failures as 0, and skips as 0. That means your test cases, only one test case was executed and it passed. Now, in Eclipse, you have another tab which is there after installing TestNg. That tab is out here. This is the tab. Okay, if I go to this tab, you will see that under the default test, do login test is executed and green signifies it is passing. Okay, and if you refresh your project, you will get a test output folder. You can right click on the project and refresh it. Fine, you will get a test output folder. In this test output folder, you will have the HTML reports generated. Fine, so Yeah. So if you in this test output you will have this index.html file. If you look at the index.html, it has got these pass methods, do login, right? And this is a HTML report, but it's not so good report that you can rely on it. Not rely, but it's a little bit difficult to understand, right? When the test cases they become large in numbers, this report gets difficult to understand. So that's why we generate the TestNg XSLT reports. These reports are better than the normal TestNg reports. TestNg XSLT reports. They look something like this. Hold on. XSLT reports are better reports. I'll tell you how to make those reports. But first of all, I should tell you how those look like. Then only you will come to you'll actually understand it. Yeah, this is how the XSLT reports they look like. This is an HTML format report, and it gives you a good pie chart as well, and it gives you a kind of detailed report in a very simple format. And you can see that it is actually better than the normal TestNg reports which are generated by default. So basically what I initially coming back to the original stage, what I want to tell you is that when you simply right click on the test file having the test function, and suppose I delete the test output folder over here now, and you simply run the test as a TestNg test, automatically in console, firstly in console you will get this kind of written result. Secondly, you will get in Eclipse you will get this section in which the test cases and the results should be present. And thirdly, when you right click on the project and refresh the project, automatically this test output folder will be generated, in which in index.html out here you will have the reports. These are the reports, right? Okay. Now coming over to the test case. In this class I can have different test cases. I can keep another test @test public void say change password system.out.print. Inside these functions you will actually write your WebDriver code. Okay, I am not writing the code right now. I will be writing that. Just hold on for some time. System.out.println executing the change password test. I'll just write this much in it. And now there are two test cases in the same Java file. You can have them. Okay, you right click on this, you run it as a TestNg test, and in the console you will see that two test cases were run in results also. You will have change password and do login. Okay, and in your TestNg reports, if you refresh these reports, you will have these two test cases, right? Change password and do login. But the catch is that if you look at the output, it is printing executing the change password test, and then it is printing executing the login test. The test cases are not executed in the order you have written them in the file. Okay, the test cases, they do not execute in the order in which you have written them in the file, right? They execute in some other order. Actually, it's the alphabetical order, right? But suppose I want to make sure that always change password result should execute after the login test, right? So I have to introduce a dependency here. So you have to write over here like this: depends on methods, and you give the name of the test, that is do login. Okay, you give the name of your test, that is the test case is do login. So now in case do login test passes successfully, only then the change password test will execute, right? So if you run this, you will see that executing the login test is printed first and only after that password test. Now password test will not be executed, this change password test will not be executed if the login test fails or if it is skipped. Now how will the login test fail? How a test case is fail? How can you report a test case failed? Right? So we'll do that now. Right now everything was passing and everything was good. Okay, to understand that you need to understand the concept of assertions, right? So I'll just create a new file known as assertions_testng. Assertions are something which help us to communicate with the reports. Okay, out here I'll create a test function in this file. For example, public void say any test xyz, okay, and import the org.testng.annotations. Okay, now now out here I'll write assert. Suppose I have a string called as expected value. When we compare something, we compare expected and actual values, right, generally. So suppose the expected value is A, and there is another string called actual value. Generally, who brings the actual value? Actual value is brought from application using Selenium. Suppose it's a title of the page or something like that. Okay, but right now I'm just writing over here like this: actual value is B. Now expected values and actual values, they do not match, right? So we need to report a failure. So for that we use a class known as assert. Assert is an inbuilt class. Okay, now the better thing is you write assert, then move your mouse over assert. After writing assert, you write dot. You will get lot of functions. Assert equals, right, and assert not equals. Like I talk about everything, right? You write assert dot, assert equals, and make sure, right, you get org.testng.assert function. Sometimes people also get the assert class from JUnit. You have to get it from TestNg. Assert class is present in both JUnit and TestNg. You see that it is imported over here. Import testng.assert. Many times people, they do a mistake, they import it from JUnit. If you are working with TestNg, better import it from TestNg, because this class is present in both the frameworks. Both the frameworks are very similar. Okay. Now when you write assert equals, you can match equal and actual and expected values. You can give your actual value first, and after that you give your expected value. Fine. Now in case this actual and expected value, they do not match in the reports, an error will be reported. If you right click on this, you run it as a TestNg test, you will see that this is failing, and you will get expected A but was B. And moreover, in your HTML reports, if you run this, if you refresh this page, you will see a failure over here. Okay, now this report is not so good. This big error message and all, you cannot show it to people who do not have good knowledge of programming or who are not technical. So we do not generally go by this report. We generate XSLT reports, which are, I just showed you the TestNg XSLT reports, right? We generate those kind of reports. We'll talk about those reports later on, but first let us learn testing. Fine. Now, similarly, you can give any value over here, expected and actual, you can give anything. Fine. Now, I can also write assert dot assert true. This is also quite important. You have to give a condition and a message. The condition should evaluate to true or false. For example, I write over here 3 greater than 1, and I will write some error message over here. Hold on, you'll come to know what I am doing. Just a minute. Okay, I am writing assert dot assert true 3 greater than 1, and after that I am presenting some error message. Now, assert true wants that this condition should always evaluate to true. Now 3 greater than 1 will evaluate to true. So if you run this test case, this will not fail. This has passed. Everything has passed. Okay, but in case this condition evaluates to false, for example 3 greater than 11, then assert true wants this condition to evaluate to true, right? But this will evaluate to false, and in case I run this now, you will get an error. And the error message will be printed in the reports. Error message XXX, like that. So in case this assertion is failing, you can bring this error message in the reports. Now when do we use this kind of assertion? For example, I want to check whether some element is present on the page or not. So I can keep a condition over here to check whether a particular link box or text is present on the page or not. And if it is not present, then this code out here will throw the error message. That's what we'll do in Selenium. Right? So in case this condition evaluates to false, this error message will be thrown. Right? And assertion will fail. Similarly, you have a function known as assert dot assert false as well, which is opposite of assert true. In this, if the condition evaluates to true, an error message will be thrown. Assert false is opposite of assert true. In assert false, in case this is evaluating to true, now it is evaluating to true, but it wants it false, then an error message will be thrown. If I run this code, you will have failures 1. Right? Okay. So this is what assertions they do. And one more assertion is there. If you write assert dot fail and give any message in it, this will simply fail the test case. Now in case you are sure that the test case is failing, you can simply write assert dot fail, and simply the test case would fail without any reason or something. The error message will come in the reports. We will also be using this. So if you run this, right, so you will see that it is failing. Okay. Now the question arises over here. The question is being asked is whether we can use try and catch block to overcome these errors. Okay, I'll come to that, Satish. I'll come to that. Hold on. Yeah. Now, assertions, they do have a little bit of drawback as well, right? Let's come over to this assertion. Assert dot assert equals. Okay. Now suppose I am writing over here system.out.println completed the test, and out here I'll write starting the test. Okay. Now when you run this, the test has to fail on this line, right? If you run this, you will see the test fails. Definitely it fails, right? Because expected and actual values did not match. But in the console, sorry, it is printing starting the test, right? In the console it is printing starting the test, but it is not printing completed the test. Okay, so basically what I mean to say is that this thing gets printed. Okay,